It was supposed to be a night to celebrate her promotion, a small gathering at her coworker's house, filled with laughter, music, and the smell of expensive wine. My wife, Claire, looked stunning that evening, wearing the blue dress I'd bought her for our anniversary. I was proud, happy to see her surrounded by people who admired her, who saw the drive and confidence I'd always loved. But as the night went on, something in her tone, her posture, began to shift. She seemed different. A little colder, a little more distant. When I tried to join her conversations, she'd smile politely, the way you smile at a stranger who's interrupted something. I brushed it off, telling myself she was just mingling, being professional. But the distance grew heavier with each passing hour. Around midnight, after her friends made a toast in her honor, I walked over, wrapped my arm gently around her waist, and leaned in to kiss her, something simple, affectionate, natural. But before my lips touched hers, she pulled back. Everyone around us noticed. The laughter stopped for half a second, the kind of silence that cuts the air. And then she said, loud enough for the people nearest us to hear, "I'd rather not, okay? Not here." I froze. My hand fell from her waist. "Not here," I repeated softly, trying to process what just happened. Her cheeks flushed. "You know how I am about PDA," she said quickly, forcing a laugh. But we both knew that wasn't true. She'd never minded before. The party continued, but I didn't. I stepped outside into the cold night, standing on the porch while muffled music played behind the glass door. The sting wasn't just from embarrassment, it was from realization. Something between us had shifted, and she didn't want to acknowledge it in front of her new world. When she finally came outside, an hour later, I was still standing there. "You disappeared," she said softly. "You made it clear I should," I replied. "Oh, come on," she said, crossing her arms. "Don't be dramatic." "Claire," I said quietly, "you pulled away like I was a stranger. What's going on?" She sighed, staring off into the darkness. "It's not that I don't love you. I feel like we're in different places now. You're comfortable. I'm trying to grow. And sometimes, it feels like you're still the same guy I married years ago. Steady, kind, predictable, but I've changed." Her words hit me like cold rain. "So growing means pretending I don't exist?" "No," she said quickly. "It means I need space to be seen as more than someone's wife." I took a long breath. "You've earned everything you've achieved, Claire. But don't forget who stood by you while you were earning it." For a moment, her eyes softened. "I know," she whispered. "I'm grateful. But gratitude isn't love." And I could feel the distance between us widening, even as we stood inches apart. We drove home in silence that night. The sound of the engine was the only thing filling the air between us. When we got home, she went straight to bed. I sat in the living room for hours, staring at the framed photo on the wall, our wedding day, her laughing in my arms, her eyes full of warmth. Somewhere along the way, that laughter had turned into polite smiles, and that warmth into performance. Over the next few weeks, things didn't get better. She was busier, more distracted, always on calls, or networking. When she was home, her phone might as well have been glued to her hand. One night, I decided to stop asking questions and start paying attention. I didn't go through her phone or follow her, I just started focusing on myself. I took on more projects at work, started going to the gym again, even met up with old friends I'd neglected. I stopped waiting for her to come home to eat dinner. I stopped chasing her attention. And slowly, I noticed the irony. When I stopped being so available, she started noticing me again. She'd ask, "You've been busy lately?" And I'd just smile. "Yeah, just catching up on things I've been missing." Weeks turned into months, and one evening, she came home early from work. I was on the porch, reading, the sun dipping below the horizon. She stood there for a long time before speaking. "You've changed," she said softly. "I had to," I replied. "I realized I can't be the only one holding us together." She stepped closer. "That night at the party," she began, her voice trembling, "I thought I wanted distance. But when you pulled away, I realized how much of you I was pushing out of my life." "It's hard to see what matters when you're surrounded by applause," I said quietly. "But silence teaches you fast." Her eyes glistened. "I'm sorry." "I'm not," I said gently. Because that night showed me who we were becoming. It made me choose to stop waiting for love that needed to be hidden. There was a long silence before she whispered, "Do you still love me?" I closed my book, stood up, and looked at her, really looked at her. Love doesn't just disappear, Claire. But respect fades when someone makes you feel small. A tear rolled down her cheek. "Can I fix this?" "Only if you want to," I said. "Not because you're afraid to be alone, but because you remember who we were when we looked at each other without pride in the way." That night, we didn't talk much more. But for the first time in months, she took my hand, not because anyone was watching, but because she wanted to. Maybe it wasn't a full repair, but it was a start. Sometimes, you have to be rejected to rediscover your own worth. And sometimes, the person who pulled away has to watch you walk forward to realize what they've lost.